If you have ever gone into the grocery store with a plan and still walked out wondering how you spent $40 more than you were supposed to spend, I have been there before. And we know a lot of the savings can happen before you even leave the house. Checking what you have already and making a plan for those foods, and then building your grocery list just to fill in the gaps. But a lot of money still gets lost while you're in the store. So today I want to walk you through 15 things that I personally do or try to remember to do while I'm actually shopping that help me keep my grocery bill under control. I'm Joy of Frugal Creative Living, and I've created a little bit of a checklist of things that you want to remember to do at the grocery store to help you spend the least amount of money possible while still getting the foods you need. And the first thing is to have your list. This is the list that gets made after I check my kitchen to see what food I already have. And then depending on how much food I have in the kitchen at the time, I'm jotting down about 3 to 5 meals plus some general breakfast, lunch, and snack ideas that I can make with those foods. And then I make my shopping list based mostly on the foods I need just to complete those meals. So it's rarely a super long list, but it's the list you want to stick to. I still allow myself to adjust, but I've learned that every adjustment needs a valid reason, not just, oh, that food looks good, or I haven't had that in a while, because those haven't had that in a while items tend to travel in groups and you end up with a cart full of nonsense. I know you're thinking it's so hard to just stick to the list. So the next few points are going to help you out with that. Eat something before you get to the store. Now, this one has become a non-negotiable rule for me. I have to eat something before I start shopping. When I go in there on an empty stomach, the hunger just clouds my judgment and everything looks good. And it makes it hard to stick to what I came in there for. Sometimes if I go in the morning, I'll grab a bagel and drink a full bottle of water or a big cup of coffee, which is an appetite suppressant, by the way. Just anything that makes me feel full, because when my stomach is full, then food looks gross and it's way easier to stick to my list. Shop alone when you can. Now, I love my husband, I love my kids, and sometimes they can even be helpful. Like if I give them a portion of the list to go and gather, I've already been teaching my kids how to look for the best prices. But usually, grocery shopping with them can be a problem, because now you've got, oh, can we get this? Or we need some cakes, or we should try this. And you turn around and you look at your cart and it's like, whose groceries are these? For me, shopping alone just helps me to stay focused. It's fewer opinions, fewer distractions, and fewer detours. I set a spending boundary. Now, I don't always walk in with an exact number down to the dollar, but I do have a general limit in my head, because if I don't, the store is going to try to decide for me how much to spend. Even just having the awareness, like, okay, I'm going to try to stay around $60, or I don't want to go over $75. It just changes how I move through the store. I'm just a lot less tolerant of the foolishness when I set a dollar limit. I also set a time limit. One of the strategies that keeps me on task and focused on list items only is putting a cap on the amount of time I can spend in the store. I used to browse and meander through the aisles and would be in the market for over 2 hours. And the more time I spent in the store, the more money I spent in the store. Now, depending on the size of my list, I try to limit my time to 1 hour, just keeping in mind that I still have to allow time for comparing prices. Use a smaller cart or a basket. If I grab the regular size cart, the big carts, my brain is like, we've got space. But if I grab a basket or one of those smaller carts, especially if the list is 30 items or less, then I'm less likely to add things I don't need because there's no room. And if it's a real quick trip, 5 or less items, don't even grab a basket. There have been times when I've walked in with no cart at all, like, I'm just grabbing a few items. Now, did I regret that halfway through? Sometimes, yes. Did I spend exactly what I was supposed to spend? Also, yes. I pause before putting anything extra in the cart. Now, sometimes I forget an item or two when I'm making my list, and I'm not reminded of the things until I see them in the store. But then sometimes I see something that just looks tasty and I want to put it in my cart. Either way, one of the simplest things I've had to train myself to do is just pause. Before I put anything extra into the cart, I ask myself, what is this for? If it doesn't connect to a meal or replace something I already planned to buy, like if I was planning on buying potatoes, but pasta was on sale, or if I already have something like that at home, then this thing might just be a because it was there type item. And those because it was there items can completely break the budget. So those things don't go in the cart. I just make sure I pause and ask that question first. Check the price per unit. I am not kidding. The final price you see on the tag is not telling you the whole story. What might look like a bargain could actually be a ripoff. The price per ounce or per pound is really telling you more of the truth. And plenty of times I have stood in the aisle comparing a couple of items and one looked cheaper until I checked the unit price and realized I was about to be paying more money for less food. And we are not about that. So it just takes like an extra second just to shift your eyes to the other side of the tag and see what that unit price is. And it makes a big difference. And don't assume that the bulk packaging is cheaper. Sometimes buying multiple of the individual units is cheaper than buying the bulk package. And when they put it all together for you, it looks like it's more of a bargain. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And for example, ramen. Sometimes when you buy a box of 12, you're paying 43 cents per pack. But when you buy the individual ones, it's only 39 cents per pack. And you may not realize it until you look at the price per unit and sometimes do a little bit of math. I use a store app while I shop. I know not everybody loves using apps, but this is one of those things that has so many benefits. You can price check anything that isn't clearly labeled on the shelf so that there's no surprises when you get to the checkout counter. You can scan and add the items to the digital cart to keep a running total of what you're putting in your physical cart so that you can stay within your budget. You can get the discounts by clipping the digital coupons, and you can build up your rewards points for future free foods and even more discounts. I do not grocery shop without a store app, even for stores I don't visit frequently. If it's my first time shopping in a particular store, I'm downloading the app and I'm creating the account on my way in. Don't trust every display. Those big displays at the end of the aisle, they look like deals, and sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're just positioned to catch your attention and make you think that you don't have to go down the actual aisle because you already got what you needed. But the thing is down that aisle might be a comparable product for a cheaper price that you might have just missed out on. I have definitely grabbed something off of an end cap thinking I was winning, only to realize because I did go down that aisle that it was not a win, and I went and put that end cap item right back where it was. So now I just treat those displays as suggestions and reminders. Buy what you will actually eat. Here's one thing to keep in mind. Cheaper is not always better. Now, I'm one who is always willing to try the cheaper brand of something. But if it turns out to be nasty and nobody at home eats it, that's called waste, and I'm not about that. So sometimes it's worth to spend a little bit more money when you know something is actually going to get eaten. The other thing is not to buy more than you know your household can eat within the time that you have before it goes bad. And also maybe don't buy food that you just wish your family would eat. Like, I know we all want to eat healthier, so don't do what I've done and going and bought a $10 bag of chia seeds, not knowing what to do with it, so then it just sits up in the counter. Wishful thinking can be expensive. So even if you want to try something new, at least have a plan for it first. Do a final cart check. Now, before I head to the checkout or while I'm waiting in the line if it's long, I try to pause and just look through my cart one more time. And usually there's at least one thing, maybe two things that I don't need to have in there. And that's my chance to just go run it back to the shelf it came from or give it to the cashier. Just pulling out that one or two items can make a bigger difference than you realize, especially if that one or two items causes you to go over your budget. Just take a moment and read your receipt. After the checkout's done, I try to do a quick scan of my receipt. Most of the times I try to pay attention to the screen while they're bringing the food up when I can. But I just want to confirm that what I paid was what I was supposed to pay, because every once in a while, something will scan twice or a sale doesn't apply or a coupon doesn't go through. And that's money that you could be applying to something else. And then the last thing I do is fetch my receipt. When I leave the market, I get in the car and open my Fetch app and scan the receipt. Because for every receipt that I scan in, I get a minimum of 25 points that add up over time and can be redeemed for gift cards to a variety of restaurants and stores. I always get an Amazon gift card because that's just my favorite. And this app is also a great way just to keep a visual record of the receipts in the event that you need it in the future. At the end of the day, saving money on groceries isn't about one big change. We can't do anything about inflation. We can't do anything about prices going up and down, but we can do something about the small decisions that we're making in real time while we're in the store. And the more aware we are of those moments, the easier it gets to stay on budget. Now, if you want to make this even easier, pair it with what you do before you shop. If you haven't seen it yet, you can watch my grocery reset video next, where I walk you through how I plan ahead so that I'm not figuring everything out in the aisles. And for me, that's where it all really starts to click. If this video was helpful for you, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.